Welcome back to the channel, everybody. It's that time again. It's time for another Saturday night special where we talk about everything rockhounding related. Except this time, well, I'm in Utah. This is the first one that I've done, well, here at the new digs, the new office. Okay, which is still very much so a work in progress, and that's a big reason why I haven't made a Saturday night special in over a month. Is because we've been moving, and it's been like the most eventful, overwhelming, and fun thing that I've done in a long time. Yeah, so we moved down to southern Utah from Spokane, Washington, and maybe you saw the last couple of videos where I was packing up the shop, and we were talking about places we wanted to go and never made it. Well, a couple of things. I got a couple of questions that I think are pretty interesting. And then we're going to get into, I got some books here, I got some lapidary news. We'll get into it. But, so I moved from Spokane to here about 1,700 pounds of rock, which that's a lot. That's a lot of rock. And then as well, all the shop, all the stuff. So it was kind of a big move. I got asked a lot why we left Spokane. There's really a lot of reasons, but here we have a nicer house. I have a nicer shop space. The town here is a lot nicer. It gives us year-round access to like places to go and things to do. I mean, you know, one of the problems with Spokane is that come like October-ish, you start to have the potential to hit snow, definitely into November. And so that's in Northeast Washington. You have Canada to your north, you have the Rockies to the east, you have the Cascades to the west, and you kind of get hemmed in by this like donut of snow and ice. And essentially we spent years not really doing anything from like November to end of April. And that definitely got pretty frustrating at times. So here we have year-round access to nice weather, right? Like in 20 minutes, I can be up at 10,000 foot elevation, or, you know, we can go lower and have year-round access to doing fun trips. So that's really a huge factor in it, as well as we're going to be closer to Sarah's parents, which that's really nice. And overall, it's better. It's the right move. We spent our time in Spokane. Being in southern Utah is the place for us. And that's where we're at now. So the shop is still very much still a work in progress. I did have the floor epoxied, and I'm very happy with how it came out. It's kind of like this like bluish silvery gray with mica flake in it, natural mica flake that is both natural in color, so like kind of like your natural clear silvery color, as well as some dyed mica, which is black, and it really levels out the floor. The floor is also ground, which is pretty nice, and this is like my opportunity, right, to build like a dream shop. So I really want to do it the right way. And the next kind of step is addressing these walls. I've gotten a lot of feedback from people, especially after the last video. And I have there's a couple of options that have came up. First off, and I'm not married to any of these ideas, and they're of course like subject to change, but repair the existing drywall. Basically like pound in all the nails, secure the boards better with screws, you know, joint compound, tape, mud, sand, prime, paint. There's a downside to that, is that it is a workshop, and like things happen in workshops, and drywall is not really a very durable wall, okay, but it would look clean at least as long as I took really good care of it. So I could just fix it. The other option is rip all the old drywall out, re-drywall the whole space. I really don't want to do that. There is insulation and a vapor barrier already, which that's pretty good. That's a big benefit to the space, I guess. One person suggested green board, like the drywall that you'd put up in like a bathroom, you know, a high moisture area, which I kind of like that idea, or like the cement board, basically for the long wall where I'm going to build a long workbench, which is going to have the majority of the machines on it, which I kind of like that idea. But at the same time, I'm like, all of my machines are kind of designed in a way where I don't really get a lot of water spray, so I don't know if that's necessary. Probably the idea that I like the most, which I have yet to figure out how I want to execute that, is these two walls right here. I would cover them with plywood, like a plywood that has a sanded side, just go over the existing drywall and just have like plywood walls. And then where the seam of the boards meet, I could put a like a little thin furring strip and have it look like a nice space, because you also got to think there's going to be benches, there's going to be some cabinets. It's not going to be 100% like plywood. And then this wall right here, which goes into the basement from the shop, I would just finish this drywall out because it's not really a useful wall, and there's a gas pipe that runs along it, which that makes it more complex if I'm going to be building it out with plywood. So I'm thinking 2 walls, plywood. Around the garage door would be also plywood. The 1 wall, which is pretty good shape, keep the drywall on the ceiling. That's what I'm thinking. But if you have any suggestions, I am all ears, because I want to start the build out of the shop so that I can get back to cutting and polishing rocks. And the first step is do that. Do some power work, get some different outlets, different places, and I got to figure out how to run water, because one thing that I'm definitely going to have in the shop is plumbed water. So somewhere in my house, I'm going to tee in with PEX, and I'm going to run exterior PEX throughout the shop so that as I place machines, I can simply cut the PEX line, tee into it, and get water pressure to whatever machines that I have. So I think that's how I want to do that. I can have a sink out there for cleaning rocks and all of that can drain outside, because the nice thing here is just outside the garage, I have all rock outside, so I can just drain directly out to it. Because that's a problem if you have like oily rocks, rock sludge stuff, you don't want to put that down in the drain. So I can add that sink and it would make for a really nice space, I think. So that's definitely a huge project that I've somewhat put off because I'm still trying to figure out what exactly I want to do. And I think that about covers it for the shop stuff. So there has been some lapidary news that has taken place while I've been gone. You may have remembered that we talked about SNS 181, 180, I can't remember. So Loretone went out of business, okay? Well, Covington Engineering has purchased them, and whatever is left, I don't really know. From what I can tell and what I've gathered, Covington's basically going to probably support their rock tumbler line, and that could mean a lot of things. Are they going to make parts? Are they just going to remake them? Are they going to be making improvements over them? Has yet to be seen. But on the Loretone website, it does say now that you can contact Covington. They don't really own anything, and that's one thing that people, I think, are mistaken about. Loretone has no patents on anything. They don't own any of their designs, and really, like, what is there to even own? Like, it's such a simplistic concept, all of these lapidary machines. It's like trying to own a patent on a pencil or, the concept of a shoe, right? Like, they don't own any of it, and they didn't actually come up with hardly any of their own stuff. Like, a lot of it was other companies before Loretone. They just adapted their designs. So when people say, like, Highland Park is ripping off Loretone designs, well, not really. Like, I mean, some of it is, you can definitely see the inspiration in it, but, like, it's such a simplistic thing that, like, it's not really, like, how many different ways can you make a cotton tee? Right? But people don't look at that and be like, well, look at that company over there ripping them off. So yeah, Covington bought Loretone. Harbor Freight brought back a version 2 now of their popular rock tumbler, so that's back up at Harbor Freight. I've yet to see one in person. I've heard some things that they've made some improvements to the bearings for the shafts that the tumbler runs on, and they changed the branding from Chicago to Central. So they have like different lineups within their company, and they're kind of doing a little bit of the rebranding. Went from maroon color to gray, so that's also quite good. Kingsley North released a version 2.0 of their 6-inch cab machine, which, Harbor Freight released their 2.0 of their rock tumbler. I think that I love this because the thing is, so many of these companies never put out a version 2 of their machines. They're just like, they make the machine and they're like, it's good. Even when people complain, even when people are like, hey, this machine has these flaws with it, they just run with them, basically. So it's pretty cool to see Kingsley North come out and be like, hey, we heard you guys, there were version 2.0. I think all companies could come out with a version 2.0. I mean, once a machine has been on the market like a year, 2 years at least, you have enough feedback, and realistically the manufacturers probably knew from the beginning what was potentially wrong with the saw, and they put it out there anyways. And then when people started pointing it out, then they were like, well, all right, let's make a 2.0. So that's cool to see some machines coming back as version 2.0s, and hopefully other companies can see the value in that and then make their own kind of version 2.0s. Well, so we live in southern Utah now, and the problem with southern Utah is that I don't know much about it. I guess that's a me problem, not a southern Utah problem. So I have a bunch of books that I am reading as I attempt to learn more about this beautiful area that we moved to. So even though these books are fundamentally flawed in a number of ways. I have the Rockhounding Utah book, and I have the Gem Trails of Utah book, and both are, I would say, poorly written. Would be, they're just not. They're not good. They're not good, but they do have some good information in them, and I do utilize these books. But I definitely double check everything, and as we've discussed here many times, if you're a regular viewer here, the amount of private property listed in these is great. So you definitely have to check online first, check like Gaia GPS, that type of thing. But so I got these so that I can kind of learn a little bit about some of the rocks and minerals and fossils here in southern Utah. I did get on one of the trips down before where we came down just to look at houses, and I made some rock hunting videos. We stopped in Orem, and I picked up at the Simple Elegance. I can't remember. I'll try to put it on the screen here. The rock shop there. I picked up their rock hounding book, which also requires Utah Atlas because you're converting range and township, not converting range and township. They have their things. You have to mark them on this. You have to find it. So those two kind of go together. But really, that is a more North Utah focused book. And I mean, as is really all things Utah, everything is kind of focused around the population density, which is the greater Salt Lake area. A book that I've already had for a really long time, which this is a good little book. I like it. And it's funny, to see, how relevant these still are, these, little maps. If you look at my area, okay, we still have a lot of stuff. Maybe you can flip this over into full screen 4K and look at that. A lot of this stuff is still very relevant, which this will be a handy little map book. The geology of the area is way more complex than what I'm used to. So I do have Geology Underfoot, Southern Utah, and the Roadside Geology of Utah. These are two good books for learning about that. And then this one. We have the Geologic History of Utah. So you can try to wrap my mind a little around some of this geology that we have going on here. So I think between those 3 books, that should be like a pretty good primer for me. And, you know, I have found that just about every place in the Western United States has, I mean, we have amazing stuff out here, right? So like, the info is there. I do have 2 more kind of like rock hunting books. A Collector's Guide to Rock Minerals and Fossils. This is a good one that I've had before. And I have used this in some of the outings that we've already done and shown here, out here in Utah. It's a good book. Kind of pricey at this point. There is a PDF floating around on the internet, but that's a good one. And one that I just got in the mail, which I have not even really spent much time looking through it, just a quick flip through, is Rockhound Guide to Mineral and Fossil Localities in Utah. So this one right here, this is kind of like a print-on-demand book from DNR. And it's an old one, so it does require the conversion of range and township to GPS. So I think that plus a couple other things that I have coming should give me some good, well-rounded knowledge of this area. And it's such a beautiful area. We've already kind of been going around and poking around and checking out some of the local area up here, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So stay tuned. I've already done some rock hounding out here. I got a couple of those videos coming in the coming weeks. And yeah, I guess at some point too, there will be some videos about building out this lapidary shop. So if you have any ideas for me, I'm all ears. I would love to hear your thoughts on my walls. Fix the drywall, replace the drywall, plywood, green board, cement board, I could also even, I guess, drywall over the drywall. Could do that too. There's a lot of options, but I want a nice, durable finish on the walls that looks good on video, that performs well. So, yeah, let me know your thoughts. I'm happy to be back, and hopefully we'll be doing some more of these Saturday night specials.